thing on schedule. I'm going to talk about special teams drills and skills, and as I'm going along, I'll probably remember things and backtrack a little bit, but one of the things I want to emphasize is everybody has a set of drills they like to use. And sometimes we get stuck, I think, running the same drills over and over. And what I want to do is challenge you guys to be creative and come up with some new stuff. And I think oftentimes coaches are reluctant to do that because so-and-so does this drill, must be a good drill, I'm going to do that. What I've found in the last few years is when you kind of break out of that box and you say, you know what, I think we need to get better at this skill and this skill. How can I come up with a drill? And you just think, you'd be surprised at the work you can come up with. So that's the one thing I want to emphasize is be creative and don't be afraid to come up with some of your own stuff. Okay. Drill work, to me, fellas, it's very important to be specific. And what I mean by that is be very specific in what you're teaching, okay, and be very specific in what you're asking each player to do. Okay, we all know what a good tackler looks like, but as a player, it's nice to know, geez, I need to get my head across. Okay, I need to get my head across on contact, and guys can get that. Okay, so that's one thing. As I've gotten older, I think I've gotten better in coaching. That's the goal for all of us, I know, because I've become more specific in what I ask players to do. And I think when you're specific, you can now measure that, and now you can see improvement a lot quicker, a lot easier when you're doing it. Okay, and obviously the goal through drill work is to get focused and precise plays. Okay, and there's a lot of writing here. Again, I did this a couple weeks ago, and we're going to get to the film quickly, but I think it's important as a coach that you ask yourself that question. What do we need to do to be successful? Coach, we just got started.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Thank you. You're doing a great job at this, by the way. I know you're a busy guy.
Trying to get you some dinner.
I think we got to ask ourselves that. You know, we all think, oh, we'd like to improve, but be very specific. What do we need to do specifically to get better as a group or as a unit? That's when you find a drill or you make one up. Okay? And one thing I want to emphasize is backtracking on the skill. This is something I've gotten better at as I've gone along. If you, for example, feel like you want to get better at punt return, and for me, I use the same term that I've heard a lot here at this clinic is rip by. Let's say you want to get better at that rip by move at the finish. Okay? What we'll do is we'll teach that move and backtrack. So we'll actually get two players together. We'll teach the technique of where we want our shoulder and our elbow to be on contact. And then as we get better at that, fellas, we'll backtrack. Okay? We'll end up having them do it at 5-yard intervals, 10-yard intervals, 20, 30, so on and so forth. So that's something I've learned. Is if you can backtrack a drill, you've got a chance to really teach what you want and then put the running component in later. Okay, we're going to start, fellas, with some kickoff cover drill work. I'm going to hit all four. I call them the big four. Really, kickoff cover, punt return, and kickoff return. We call those the big four in our place. We'll get into field goal return later, but really that's the emphasis for this talk tonight is the big four. First thing I want to talk about is avoid head across finish. This is a drill we use for our kickoff cover team, and I'll show you on film. And we teach on kickoff cover an avoid technique. Okay, so I'm simulating essentially, am I okay right here? Can you guys see? I feel like I like to always be over here if I can. I'll go this way. Okay, we teach fellas, we teach guys to avoid frontline blocks. And the thing about kickoff cover that's different than punt cover is you can see it, right? If I'm kicking off this way, the guy that's blocking me is in front of me and I can see his leverage. Punt coverage is a whole different story. He's on my hip or he's in my face, much more difficult, okay? So we teach avoid technique on our kickoff cover. Okay? As you look here, okay, I'm simulating a frontline block. Okay, and I want 27 to avoid that block. Now, I want him to avoid it butt side. The reason for that is most of the time, blockers are taught, keep your butt to the ball and block away from that. Okay, so we're trying to give him an idea of where the ball's going as well. Now, it's not 100%. Okay, there's a lot of good coaches in the CIS and the CFL that teach an actual opposite look. They'll give you a look one way and then flip their hips late, so it's not 100%, but for the drill work it is for us. We want to try to avoid butt side. Now, if you look here, at the start there's a cone, and about halfway through there's a cone. The reason for that, fellas, is we want our guy to avoid and then get back on top of the guy that's trying to block you, what we term a stack. Okay, the reason for that is you need to be, I don't use the term lane, but the idea is maintaining proper leverage on the ball. If you avoid a guy left, you don't want to keep drifting left. There's a guy trying to get in. Can you go ahead and let him in? Okay, so we teach avoid and stack, or get back on top. Okay, so here he is right here. Avoid, get back on top, head across at the finish. Not a very good job with his hands. Okay, this is a little better. Avoid, I'm going to stand right here, guys, so if I'm in your way, feel free to move here. I always feel more comfortable over here. Avoid, butt side, okay, get back on top, and then when the ball declares, we want to get our head across, head on the football, we want to throw our arms up and through, okay? Ultimately, the end move is then we're going to go ahead and try to rip and get the ball out. This is a kickoff cover drill. Avoid. Get back on top. Ball declares, head across, rip up and through. And you can help guys get confident in this by having the returner do exactly what this guy's doing. Just a little hop, bang. You can feel those hips move, and we want to roll our hips up and through, and you should be able to lift that guy up if you're doing this correctly. Okay, and then I have a little fun with it. Obviously, I'm trying to simulate a kickoff return front line block. There's the avoid. Okay, head across. Lots of loop blocks in pro football and even in college football. Lots of guys turning, telling you where it's going. Avoid butt side, head across. Okay, here's a clip from, I don't know if this is from this year or last year, but then you want to try, when you're showing film, you want to try to show the drill and then show some film from a game that confirms what you're teaching, right? So we're not just doing this because it's a drill I like. This is how it applies in a ball game. All right, let's take a look right here. This is a good look at this player, and this player. And again, a lot of teams do different things, and a lot of players have different body habits and body language. But if you're looking there, and if you understand avoid butt side, that's a pretty good read, that's a pretty good read, and that's a pretty good read. Okay, let's take a look at this player right here. He doesn't avoid butt side, he tries to outrun him. Okay, and he gets ran by the play. Great job blocking. Okay, this player has essentially run himself out of the cover play. Hey, let's take a look at this player. This guy's trying to block 47 here. Hey, he slows a little bit, but he avoids butt side. Now, he doesn't make the play, but he's right in the action. Okay, so that's the point. We want to avoid frontline blocks, preferably to the butt side, not always. Okay? Then we want to get back on top and play the football. Okay, that's one thing for kickoff. Okay, we'll get to a couple other things. Okay, I'm going to put all three of these up at once. Okay, Coach, can you stand up? Okay, so we talked about avoid head across finish. Ultimately, in a good cover player, you don't want to be engaged in anybody. You want to avoid him and get yourself running full speed and make a play on the ball. Okay? Stack and replace. What we talk about here, fellas, is if this is a guy, he's blocking me. Okay? This chair right here is the ball carrier. Okay? Ultimately, and Coach Walters was talking about this in terms of the punt return, we want to force this guy to have to push us in the back if he's going to block us. Okay? So we're side by side. Right now, he can run me right past that ball carrier. But if I get around him and eventually get on top, okay, we call that stack and replace. Just like a good receiver does to a DB on a deep ball. We want to stack and replace. I use the term replace that player so he's on our back. Now we're playing the football. Either way it goes, we've got him on our back. He's got to make a choice. Block us in the back or turn and look for some other one. Okay, so that's stack and replace. Stay here, Coach. Okay, club line. Now, You can't see it very well, but in the blue it says, what determines club by versus stack and replace? This determines it. Okay? When the ball carrier is a long ways away from us, fellas, we can use our speed and outrun this guy. A lot of time to get around him, stack and replace. As soon as, come on up, good. As soon as we're getting close to the ball carrier, now the ability to get around him is taken away. Okay, so we've got to make a decision. I tell our guys to put our foot in the ground, club him by, and get in front of the ball carrier. Okay, it's just like, again, what we teach our receivers. Thanks, Coach. I got one more here. We teach our receivers when we're coming back to the ball, we club him by, come back to the ball. It's the same thing in coverage. He's overplaying us. Okay, foot in the ground, violently put our hand on his back hip, pull him through, reduce, and get ourselves in position to make a tackle. Okay? Fourth thing, again, we got film on all this. Press and control. Okay? Come on over here, Coach. Face me. Okay, same situation. Ball carrier is close. I'd say within 10 yards. We know it's going to be tough to outrun him. Okay? I can't club by a guy who's in front of me. This guy's done a great job of staying in front of me throughout the whole play. Okay? Now we want to press and control him. Okay? We got to use our speed and our momentum we've gained through the first 40 yards of our coverage, and we want to actually get our hands inside. Okay, eyes on the ball carrier, and we want to press and control him. So we're moving him back, throwing him, and making a play on the ball. Now, the question, come on up, Coach, a lot of guys will have is, at what time do you throw him and play the football? Does anybody have an idea? Okay? You throw and go when the ball carrier declares. Okay? If that ball carrier, come on up, is staying straight, I'm not going to guess and go this way and have him go the opposite. I'm going to continue to move this guy. Move, move, move. He goes. Bam. That's when I show up. Okay? So I'll always tell our players, thanks, Coach, this ball carrier determines a lot of what we're doing in coverage. Okay? So how do you know what he's doing? You have to be watching. Okay? I'll show you some drills that we do. Okay, stack and replace. And we've done this with ball carriers. We've also done this with just a straight up pop-up bag. Okay, let's watch this. Okay, he's trying to get him on his back. He's trying to stack him. He's got him in position where he's on his back. Now his eyes are obviously on the ball carrier. When that ball carrier goes, we want head across. He's taking it a little bit extreme, but I'd rather see this than not having his head across. Head across, roll your hips up and through. Okay, here we go on 48. Okay, he's got time. The ball, this guy's walking him. He's side by side at the 30. The ball carrier here's at the 10, so there's 20 yards of distance. That's plenty of time to use our speed, get in front and stack the guy who's trying to block you. Okay, this applies to all sorts of football, right? Punt return, kickoff, applies to a lot of it. Okay, one thing I would say to 48 is let's not get in the habit of coming too much to bounce and slowing down to the point where that player can now get back and catch you a punch in face. So I want the cover player to continue moving. Head across, throw those arms. Here's a nice example. Use your speed. There we go. Stack and replace. That guy will not be able to block him without blocking him in the back. Okay, this is later in the season. Coach Walters talked about it in terms of his plan. Our plan as we practice throughout the week is to take the first 5 minutes and do some sort of drill work, and then the last 5 minutes doing some sort of team. Okay, here's a stack and replace. Nice. Hey, use your speed, get out in front, and then lean. Okay, it's like running, reducing the corner, just like Coach Sinclair is going to probably talk about speed rushing off the edge. That's all this is. Speed rush off the edge, wrap that corner, get them on your back. Real nice example right there. Get them on your back, head across at the finish. Okay, now if you look at the drill here, fellas, all we did is we just moved up the dummy. Okay, so we moved the bag. It was back here 10 yards back. We moved it up 10 yards, so now we've only got 10 yards of space. Same position with our two players. Now we're going to say, hey, if you can get in front, go ahead. But what we really want is for you to recognize ball coming, put your foot in the ground, club by, and get back in front. Ball's coming up, club by, get back in front. What do you think I told him on this?
Head across.
Head across. Head across. Okay. Now he's playing the drill. Okay. So as you're coaching, fellas, it's really easy to recognize good examples and then really pump that guy up and make a big deal of it. When you get something like this, you can say, all right, you understand the technique, but let's put it into a game situation. If he's going to trail you, I want you to stack and replace it. Okay, if he's playing even to slightly ahead, let's go ahead and foot in the ground, club by, and finish on the ball. Here's a nice look at it. Cover player, 26 is blocking him. Here we go. Another good example. 99's covering, inside player's blocking him. Okay, and finally the press and control. And one other way, I'll backtrack a little bit. Club by, fellas, is an up and under move. Okay? It's nothing more than a linebacker coming off the edge and up and under an overset running back. Up and under. It's the same concept. Okay, now the ball is close. Okay, we want to use our hands and get inside and press and control. Hey, when would be a good time to use this technique, press and control? Anybody have an idea? Versus what sort of blocking technique? Stock, yep. Catch technique is what we see a lot of. Where a guy on kickoff return will set deep, backpedal, and just try to stay in front of you the whole time. We're going to go ahead and collision him and run his ass right to the ball. Okay? So we'll actually game plan during the game week. We'll say, all right, number 42 is a catch player. Okay? What technique are you going to use on him this week? We're going to run right into him and run his ass to the ball. Okay, number 56 is a bull. He's going to try to block, plant, and drive, and get upfield. What technique are you going to use against him? Coach, I'm going to see that. I'm going to avoid his ass, because if I try to press and control him, it's just going to be a big collision. And if there's a big collision, the return team's winning. So this is a technique we'll use against teams that do a lot of catch blocking with their front line. We'll go ahead and run them, and keep running them until the ball declares. And we are going to go ahead. This is D-line stuff, right? Push, pull, and pull yourself right through. That's what this is. Push and pull. Head across at the finish. Good. Okay, watch this. And as you're critiquing this and showing this to your guys, you'll be like, okay, excellent job. Your eyes are on the returner, which is what we need. You're rolling your hips. You're controlling him. Okay, but at the last minute there, not a lot of violence in pulling himself through, right? So there's a good chance the guy blocking him might get a little tug or might get a little shot. So I told this player, great job, let's be a little more violent on the pull across. I'll show you this one. Okay, let's see the difference here. Bam. It actually pulls you through to the ball. Pulls you through. Great job. Head across, bang. I want to show you this clip here. Okay. Anybody guess who these two guys are on the team? And these are our two kickers last year. Okay, and here's my point on this. Okay, if you're a kicker, if you got a son that's a kicker and he plays on the team that I'm coaching, I will insist that they do every single drill. Okay, and I will not be okay with them kind of half-assing it. Okay, here's my point on that. If you expect your kicker to be an athlete, you'll be surprised at how many times he'll become an athlete. If you expect your kicker to not make a tackle, and you don't demand that he makes a tackle every opportunity he gets, he'll probably fulfill it. Okay? So my point is this. If you want your kicker involved in coverage, get his ass in these drills, demand that he do them exactly like everybody else, and coach him. punt stuff here. And that's essentially just some drills we do for kickoff cover. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and throw all these up and I'll talk about them. Okay, punt drills, fellas. Okay, we're a man protection team and we're a kick slide team. So when we line up, if the ball's inside, we like to have our inside foot slightly back. Okay, our outside foot on the line. We like to have about 70% weight on our outside foot, 30 on our inside. We want to have our hands holstered, and we want to do a slight kick slide step at the start of every snap. Basically, we want to get a little bit of depth. In case we see twisting, in case we see really any sort of rush look or hold up. We want to read what they're doing in that slight kick slide step. Okay, so I'll show you a drill here where we do that. Passing off twist, fellas, it's the same concept, hard to see the blue there, as offensive line. You want to be at the same level as the guy next to you. As soon as I'm deep and he's short, okay, that's when you get beat on twist. So if you're seeing teams that do some twisting, okay, really emphasize same level is the key. Now, I'm not saying you have to kick slide. Okay? Same level could be two guys side by side not doing anything. Okay? That's the same level. But if you got one guy who kick slides and the other guy who quick sets, and that's when you get in trouble. So remember that. Same level is the key when you pass off twists. Okay, protection keys. Okay? Hot technique. I learned this a long time ago, and a lot of guys still use that. Hot refers to hands on torso. So we want to try to hit them right here. Right? Hands on torso. We want inside hands. I learned this term from Coach Higgins. Restart the player that's rushing. So if he's rushing, we want to restart him. Force him to stop and restart. When we've done that, we've done all we need to in terms of protection. Two-step redirect. That's a term I learned in Oakland. Essentially, as you block him, we want to take him 2 steps off his line. So if his line is here, inside hands, I want to take him 1, 2, throw, and then go. So two-step redirect. Most guys know what that means once they get a feel for it. Okay, escape work. Well, let's go to the film first, and I'll come back to the escape. Okay, so this is training camp from last year. Okay, the footwork is not going to be very good. I didn't have a lot of film of this in training camp. This was this is rookie camp in our first few days. Okay, but the idea is the same, right? Use the football to keep the football for a defense. We got inside foot back. Okay, I would like to see a little lower profile from both of these guys, and they need to have an awareness of who each other has. Okay. We're going to try to double team the penetrator, stop the penetrator, and then work late to the looper. Okay? Block point. It's right here. Stop the penetrator with a double, work to the looper late. If you never get to the looper, man, you usually survive the play. Okay? It's the penetrator that gets you. Okay? The other thing I'll tell our guys in punt protection is never chase. Okay? That's a term I use a lot. Never chase. Okay, pretty good stance. Again, inside foot back, outside foot on the line. Okay, we try to give them some keys that there might be a twist coming, but the key is to get a little bit of a vertical set. That's not very good right here. Okay, that's better. A little bit of a vertical set. Good. Now, the one other thing I'll tell AD on this is tough for him. Okay? Is as they double the penetrator, as he sees his man loop, right? He feels that he actually, with the switch, we want to make a switch call. He wants to try to throw his helmet inside of this guy, just like in tackling, head across. It doesn't happen very often, but that's the movement, that's the emphasis we want. Throw your hat to the inside and work off to the looper late. Okay, I can go ahead and show this. We do something real simple. All we just want to do is emphasize inside hands. This is something I had the D-line coach do at a circuit station last year. And we just want to emphasize when you have inside hands, you have power and control over the guy who's trying to hold you up at the line. So this is both a punt return and a punt protection sort of drill. And we just want to work inside hands. Okay, And if you can involve your D-line coach in this, fellas, you've got excellent coaching, a lot better coaching than I'd be able to do, because I don't teach that very often, but they teach that a lot. Okay, escape work. Okay, we talked about protection. We'll talk about escape work. Well, it'll be 5-yard increments. Again, we want a 2-step redirect. Okay, and we also want to use the push-pull release. Okay, and the difference is this, fellas. If a guy is rushing me, I'm on the punt team going this way. If a guy is rushing me head up, okay, most of the time he's trying to hold me up at the line. So we tell our punt team guys, a head-up player, we can go ahead and be a little more aggressive in our release, okay? So we'll still kick slide, but we're looking to punch, push them, and pull and go. Okay? If a guy is outside shade, let's say here's head up, he's outside a step or two, chances are he's trying to beat you to the block point, a little more depth, and then when we get our hands on him, we want to actually flatten him. 1, 2, and go. So we'll go ahead and work both of those techniques versus a head-up player and an outside player. Push, pull, and 2-step redirect. We obviously got a stack in place, club by, everything that applies downfield. Okay, we've got a halo drill we'll show you, and a 3 or 4 man tackle drill that's part of our punt cover circuit. Okay, this is the first year we did this last year. I really liked it. We set this drill up, fellas, along the sideline so that we could see the 5-yard differences. Okay, so there's your group, there's your group, there's your group, and there's your group. And all we're doing here is an escape drill. It's a punt cover drill. Members of the punt team, you don't know who they're going to be, so we used everybody. Okay, and we wanted to restart them. Again, the terms we talk about: restart, and then get out. And we want to go 5 yards. So he started there, he ended up there. Started there, ended up there. So we're trying to get that initial width in punt cover. Punt cover is tough, man, because everything, protection is inside out and coverage is outside in. So anytime you can do something to really emphasize that initial release, I think it's very valuable. Okay, let's go ahead and watch this. You're coaching that, you probably say, we need a little better punch, a little better restart. Let's go ahead and look here. Same thing here. And I'd be like, yeah, good hand placement, but let's give him a little more. Let's pop him. Let's roll our hips a little bit more in protection. That I can live with right there from 90. Bang, he's gone. Okay, look at where the hold-up player is located too, fellas. He's directly in front of the punt block, or the punt protector. Directly in front. Okay, we're anticipating hold up. It doesn't mean we're not blocking. We're anticipating hold up. We want to restart him. Okay, and then we want to go. We want to be careful not to throw him into the punter, but we want to anticipate the hold up still. Restart and get out. Okay, here's the different look. Okay, this one right here. Outside shade, we try to simulate more of a rush look. Okay, let's see what this technique looks like here. 2 steps, gone. Okay, and if you notice this, fellas, he's inside releasing, which happens sometimes, right? So if we've got an outside rusher who's our man, we 2-step redirect him, we inside release, which is fine, okay? We got to really work hard now on getting back outside. Here's the other thing. Take a look at these 2 players, okay? Here's a great example of 2-step redirect. Here's a bad example. Look where they release. The 2-step redirect, fellas, it's protection, but it gets you started on your width and your release. He started there. Look where he's releasing. He's almost to his 5 yards. This guy did inside release, but he did a 2-step redirect. He's exactly where he started. So the 2-step redirect is not only protection. It's a protection coaching point, but it also starts you on your outside release. It starts getting you width in terms of your coverage. Hey, here's another view of the same drill. Okay, they're head up here. Let's look at the restart. Bang. Okay, a slight kick step, restart, and that's a little bit of a push and pull. And he's out. Here's a couple good looks. Okay, let's look at the guy on the top. Pretty good. Could be more physical with his push. Okay, he's not really popping him. Okay? The coaching point I'd make for the guy in the bottom is get your head out of this. Okay? Don't get your head involved in the contact. You're going to be slower getting out. Okay? Again, overemphasize the restart. There's not a restart here. He's got to knock him so that his shoulders stand up, and then we'll pull ourselves through. Okay, so that's some release stuff, fellas, in terms of getting off the ball. Obviously, some guys are just better than others, but I think you can coach technique and try to drill it so that everybody gets at least confident in it. This is a nice drill. I learned this from Coach Marshall. This is basically a two-man tackle drill. But what we're trying to do is a great drill, fellas, to use for your gunners or bullets, whatever you call them. Anybody on your punt team who's got good speed and is down by the football when he's catching it. Is we'll throw the football to simulate the punt, and we're sending two guys down. So what you get out of this, we call this the halo drill, is you work on the 5-yard, no yards halo, okay, and then once he's caught it, okay, it becomes a two-man tackling drill. So this is something we used last year, and I really like it. Okay? Okay, not just ball in the air, ball on the ground. Okay, everybody has to know what to do here. Much like what Coach Walter say, we tell our guys on a ball on the ground, hey, we want to be decent actors. Okay, if you're not respecting the 5 yards, you're going to get a 15-yard penalty. Okay, but our priority is making sure that ball carrier doesn't split. Okay, so we're going to continue to move forward, close the cushion. When he picks it up, okay, then we're going to shoot. Here's a look at it from the end zone. As you can see, guys are starting to come to balance. They're starting to slowly break down. When he picks it up, we're going. Yeah, nice job. This is a nice job here by 75. And what I would be coaching here is he's under control, he's continuing to move forward, but he's under control, keeping the ball inside and in front. When it comes his way, he's in position to maintain that that outside in leverage, where the ball still is on his inside shoulder. Good. Great position on the finish right there. And show that to your guys. Say, that's a great job, Peter. That's what we want to do.
Are you coaching him to take the guy's inside shoulder?
Yes. We want to tell our cover players, always keep the ball inside and in front. Okay? So, inside and in front, from a right side player, he needs to be on your left side shoulder. For a left side player, he needs to be here. Okay? I've heard the term, keep him in the scope. Okay? I don't know, I'm from Montana, so I hunted as a kid. Okay? The big scope. Okay? If there's a cross, inside and in front, he's always in that front upper quadrant as you're coming closer to him. As you get closer, he gets closer to the center. Okay, let's go quickly. We're about halfway there. I want to show some punt return drills. Okay. The most, and this is something a lot of guys, sometimes I think people overlook. The number one factor in blocking a punt is not great hand-eye coordination, a great move on a guy. It is ball get off. Okay? If you got a guy that can get off the football with some speed and quickness, you got a chance to block it. It doesn't matter how good your hands are or your coordination. If you don't get off the football quickly, you're going to have a hard time blocking a punt. So we work ball get off. That's what BGO stands for. Ball get off is the very first thing we do. Okay, we're going to show you a drill we call run the hoop. Okay, there's soccer balls involved, and again, this is actually a drill where we're going to block the punt. So we're working, again, I told you earlier we want to backtrack. I'm kind of going opposite of what I said. And when it comes to this film, we're going to go ball get off first, then we're going to talk about running the hoop, what we want to reduce, simulating coming off the edge and blocking a punt. Hey, and some stuff, I'll get to that when we get to the return. Okay, so the very first thing we did, and I got some old film from a buddy here, okay, is we put ball get off and have some fun with this. Everybody likes to compete, right? Most everybody at one time has won a race or has wanted to race somebody. So what we would do is we put a cone at 15 yards or 10. Oftentimes we put it at 10. We'd simulate a snap, and we'd have every single guy on the punt rush team involved in this. We just holler right away. All right, ball get off. Okay, first one to the cone wins, and these guys eat it up. They eat it up. Hey, you can see them. They're all chomping at the bit. The next group's ready to go. Can't wait to start. Key the football. Bam. And it's a race. We want to see who's quickest. We film it. And guess what? The next day in the film room, the guys are talking. I beat you. No, you didn't. It's a great opportunity to get guys excited about rushing the punt. Okay, here's the run the hoop drill. Again, training camp stuff. Okay, you have to identify in training camp, number one, who can block a punt, who's not afraid to block a punt. Okay, and then number two, who's smart enough in their landmark they're not going to rough the punter. So this is a drill to do that. Okay, notice the punter's got a soccer ball. Okay, soccer balls are a little softer. Okay, they're a little less intimidating, I think, for guys to block. They're easier for the punter to hit solid, so it's coming straight. Hey, and it gives it an emphasis that it's not quite as, I think it's just a little bit more player friendly. When guys see a soccer ball that's not very hard, I think they're more likely to extend out. What the whole idea behind this, fellas, is this. We want every player to feel what it's like to block a punt. Feel what it's like to extend your hands and put them on the footballs. Okay? So this is, we call this run the hoop. We put a bag out in front. Okay, where we want a little bit of a resistance. Okay, here's our ball get off part. Eyes are on the football. When that thing moves, we're gone. Okay, we want to stay low. You could probably do a little better job of reducing and staying low. And we want to come around that corner with speed and extend and block the punt. Okay, we do it with our big guys. Same deal. Key the football. He's gone. I'd like to see him reduce a little bit more. Hey, let's watch this. Again, this is always fun to show in team meetings too. Hey, what would your coaching point, anybody in the room here? What would you say? Good, bad, okay? Not very good, right? We're telling our guys to extend out as opposed to up. So as I come around the corner and I want to block this punt, I heard this term used by George Cortez, okay, over the years. He said, we want to push our hands with our eyes. So think of this, your eyes are pushing your hands out and through the target. Push your hands with your eyes out as opposed to up. We want to block it out here as opposed to here. The other thing is we want to put our thumbs together, create a flat surface. I've seen a lot of punts almost blocked like this. Okay? Thumbs together, push them out as opposed to up. So we'll show that. We'll say, all right, what do you think here, fellas? They'll say, that doesn't look right. An angle should be more like this. Should be pushing putting his thumbs together. Okay? How about his head, fellas? Take a look at his head. You think he's pushing his hands with his eyes? Nah, he's lifting his head. He's worried about taking a soccer ball in the chin. Okay? So those are some of the coaching points for blocking a punt. This will be a better example. Still a little bit too much up. Yeah, I'll go to the next one. The next one's better. Let's watch this. Look at that. These are defensive tackles. Extend those hands. Great landmark, fellas. He's pushing his hands with his eyes. Look at where his eyes are. His head doesn't move. Right there. Okay? That's how you block a punt. Okay? Here's a better example of ripping. Reduce. Push those hands. Look at that position. Right there. Bang. Right there. Okay? That's what we want. Okay, so that's blocking a punt. There's not a lot more than that to it. Obviously, you want to identify who can do it. The only way you can do that is to go into a training camp and have some drills for that. Okay, punt return drills. Okay, we're going to talk about catch up, punch, and face, and I know most in the room have heard of this. Okay, when I say not ideal, here's what I mean by that. We don't want to catch up, punch, and face if we don't have to. Okay? If you're having to catch up, punch, and face, for you guys that were here for Coach Walter's presentation, that means we're in what sort of position on the guy that's covered?
Trails.
Trails. He's beat us, right? He's already ahead of us. Okay? Now, that's a recovery technique, and we want to do that if we get beat. But ideally, hey, we don't want to catch up, punch, and face if we don't have to. The reality is that we'll have to do that quite often. Hey, so we're going to teach that. Okay, the coaching points on catch up, punch, and face. Come on up here, coach. Okay. He is now the cover player going towards the chair. Okay, I'm the blocker. I'm in a trail technique. Okay, a great way to defeat catch up, punch, and face is what? Stack. Right? If he stacks me, I got trouble with this. Okay, if he doesn't, okay, and I'm able to stand his hip, I got a chance to catch up, punch, and face. As he slows down, go ahead and stop. Okay, the catch-up phase of this, fellas, is when he starts to slow. Okay, I've heard it taught a couple different ways. When he slows, we accelerate. I don't like that. We should be running full speed the whole time. When he slows, we continue to run full speed and get in front of him. Okay, what we teach is a little bit of a slap. Okay, inside hand. We don't want inside hand to his back. We teach a little slap here, and we punch with the opposite hand, and these guys that have been coaching in this game teach the same thing, because I've heard it. Opposite hand to opposite pec. We want to grab, and then we want to get nice and tight. Okay, that's catch up, punch, and face. Thanks, coach. So we will rep this. And obviously it's difficult to simulate full speed. Okay, so we're watching his hips. We're trying to catch up to him the whole way. As he sinks his hips, chops his feet. That's when we continue to run full speed. Try to turn him with an inside chop to the wrist. And then we want to get right inside and tight. We want our nose to his chin. Nose to his chin, and we want to suck him in. Okay, pretty good example. No hands, we call it a lazy hand. Here's a good example at the top. Nice little chop move. Try to turn him. We punch with the opposite hand and the opposite pec. And then we want fellas to keep them nice and tight. Okay? Where you get penalties is if you see this. Nice and tight. That's where we want to keep. Okay, and you can do it with a full group. Hey, you don't have to do it with just a couple. So you've got only 7 minutes to insert punt return. First 3 minutes, we're going to go catch up, punch, and face. Okay, everybody line up across the line. Okay, whole group doing it. Now, you have to have a coach who gives them a go, and you have to have a coach down here who's telling the cover player to start to sink his hips and break down. Go. Sink your hips, catch up, punch, and face. Great. Let's switch it. Other guys going. Switch roles. Okay, that's one of them. Another term we use, and again, a lot of the guys, I've heard it a number of times in this camp, and I've heard it from Coach Walters as well, is rip by. We teach a rip by move. Okay? So as we're on punt return, we've got a couple of options. Catch up, punch, and face. Okay? Come on up, coach. Or rip by. Okay? If we have time and he's slowed down, the first thing we would like is to catch up, punch, and face. That's our first choice. Okay? If we're getting closer to the ball carrier, good. And I don't feel like I have enough time to pull that off. Our second choice is I want to try to rip by, and when I say rip by, I want to get my inside shoulder in front of him. I want to be in this position as the ball carrier goes by. Okay? And we call it rip by because I want to see that move come just like a good rip. Come from low, and we want to get inside and get our shoulder in front of him. And that's our second choice. Okay? Thank you. Our third choice. Anybody got a guess? Okay. Our third choice is let him go. Turn and get somebody else. Okay? That's what we try to teach. And when we have the same challenges that you all have. We get too many penalties in the punt return. Okay, so we try to make it as simple as we can. Okay? Could you have caught up, punched, and faced him? No, coach, it's too far ahead of me. Did you feel like you had a chance to throw a rip by? Nope. what's your third option? Turn and look for work. Okay? And we try to quiz our guys. What are you going to do here? I'm going to rip him. I'm going to rip by. Okay, good. Let's see if it works. Okay, so here's a film clip of rip by. And again, it's hard to simulate this full speed. I'm playing the ball. He's the cover player. He's the blocker. Too close to run, catch a punch and face, but he does have an opportunity to do a rip by. And that's what it looks like. Now, I'm not saying this is without risk. Okay? I've seen rip bys get called as blocks in the back, so you got to really work hard at getting him low and trying to come up and through and get his shoulder in front. Some guys will be better than others, okay? But it's just another tool in, or another bullet in our holster where we want to have some ability to do it. Okay, watch this here, fellas. This is probably the best example. This is from a number of years ago, but the best example of a rip by that I've seen in the last 5 years. Okay, watch this. Okay, this is Baron Miles, okay, and here's the cover player. He's going to end up executing a rip by against this player who's trying to tackle this guy. And we show this, okay? This is a great example. It's not very physical, right? But what a great job, and Baron's a really good basketball player. What a great job of getting between your man and the defender when the ball goes by. Okay? And ultimately, fellas, what matters in blocking? Be between your man and the ball when the ball is going by. Okay? This here is called compete drill. Okay? This is probably my favorite drill of all. Okay? And it's the last of the punt return thing. We do this in training camp when we want to try to identify who's a good punt return blocker and who's got great effort. Because very often, I don't know about you guys, but we have trouble. We get into our first game and we're still not sure. Man, I haven't seen so-and-so cover a lot of punts. You think he can do it? Or I haven't seen so-and-so on punt return. I think he can do it. Right? Well, here's a good way to find out without having full-on punt cover versus punt return 10 reps. Compete drill is what I call it. Okay? Cover player, blocker. Cover player is going to try to get to the pop-up. Blocker is going to try to keep him away from it. Okay? Cover player, blocker. Okay? After this drill, I was like, 30 could probably play on punt return. Right? 30 probably pretty good. Coach Dice is like, yeah, damn right he could. Down here run me over. 30 can play on punt return. Okay? Compete drill. Okay? Two young guys here. One-on-one. Nice. Okay? Look at what the cover player did. I don't know if we call this a club by. He's spinning, but he feels like he's overplaying it, right? He knows the ball's close. He can't keep running that angle, so he puts his foot in the ground and he spins back in. That's a great rep by both guys. You got to feel pretty good about either one of those guys if you see that. Cover player, blocker. Bang, look at this. Perfect example of club by put into use in a live one-on-one situation. Head across at the finish, loving that rep. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Okay, even the big fellas can do it, right? Cover player, blocker. Look at the big fella here. I don't think I even taught him rip by. And he throws one at him. You gotta love that. And D linemen are athletes, coach. We showed this to the guys in the team meeting. It was awesome, right? Look at that rip by. So all these things we talk about, right? Rip by, club by, catch a punch in the face, they become lingo, right? I'll be in the game and somebody will come off the side and say, Coach, man, you should have saw that rip by I threw on him. I didn't see it, but we'll see it on film. Or a guy comes up and says, man, I was all over him. I caught up, punched and faced him. He didn't get anywhere near the ball. Okay? Or next guy saying, hey, if he's blocking me like that, what should I do? And I say, is he overplaying you? Yeah, coach. What do we teach you if he's overplaying you? Club by. That's right. Okay? So it becomes lingo that the guys use. Okay? I'll go over this and then I'll finish it up. So it becomes lingo, fellas. That's what my point is. It's hard to try to explain things on a short amount of time. So you start coming up with key terms, key wording, terminology, and I think guys start getting it. Okay, I'm going to go for 2 minutes and then break. Okay, front line work, KOR. Again, I want to finish with this. This will be the final of our big four. Okay, front line work, we're going to show you a plant and drive drill. Okay, and then a compete drill with rip by at the finish. And you'll see what I mean by that. Wedge work. I have yet to find, and I would love to visit with some of you. If you've got some good wedge drills, I'd love to find it because it's one of the hardest things for me to coach. I work set and timing because I think that's half the battle. And then I try to just zone block it where I'll have 3 guys side by side and work a lot of different twists to try to get our guys good at zone blocking. We don't chase when it comes to our wedge. Okay, let's get a couple clips. Okay, so this is what we teach in KOR. Now, this is just what I teach, fellas. I'm not saying it's right. I just believe in this. And I'll tell you what. I believe to have a good kickoff return, you need separation between your front line and your wedge. Okay? And if you got too much give with your front line, whether it be a catch technique or just soft guys that are just not physical enough, is they start getting ran into the wedge and it's hard for the returner to see space. So we teach plant and drive with our front line. Okay, so we're simulating a cover player with a bag, a kickoff return front line blocker here. We want to put our foot in the ground and drive back upfield on the block. And we call that plant and drive. One of the hardest things to do. Hey, I'm sure Coach Walter will mirror that. It is a hard skill to learn. Blocking a guy coming full speed this way, when I got to retreat, put my foot in the ground and come back up, my gosh, that's tough. Okay? So it really takes a special player to be able to do that. Okay? And we want to be physical in these blocks. Plant and drive. Okay, let's coach this. Again, as we get the hang of things, okay? What would we say here? He's reaching a little bit, right? We plant and drive. We tell our guys, hey, it's just like tackling, but you're not wrapping up. You're bringing your hands in here. You don't tackle like this, right? We don't block like that. We're rolling our hips, bringing our hands inside, and driving up and through the guy. So see examples on tape you can use for good. See examples where you know you can improve. Okay, finally I want to show you this. This could go punt return or kickoff return. And all this is, I heard Coach talk about it. He used the term touchdown shoulder. Okay? If you guys are watching this right now, and I'm 99, this player's covering, he's blocking, there's the ball carrier. Which shoulder is the touchdown shoulder? Left or right? Okay? Ball carrier's going this way. Okay, if we look at it, it's the upfield shoulder, the touchdown shoulder. Okay, we use the same term. So as you're blocking a guy, there comes a point in time when he's going to stop. If I'm covering the projector, somebody's blocking me, at some point I'm going to stop as the ball goes by me, and I'm going to start to retrace and try to get in position to tackle him, much like he's doing. Here's the ball carrier. He's stopping. He's retracing because he knows the ball's going here. He's not going to keep running this way. We tell our guys we want to climb block that. So what he's doing is he is climbing, and then at the finish, he's ripping by his upfield shoulder. Because, come on here, Coach, one more. Okay, let's see if I can stop this blocker. He's going to cover that chair, okay? I'm in good position. As the chair starts to move upfield, he retraces, okay? Where you get in trouble, take 2 more steps, is this position. Am I right? This is when you get in trouble. And you're going to be in that position if you continue to shuffle your feet. So as he turns his hips and starts to retrace, the blocker does the same thing. Turns his hips and then rips by the finish. Okay? So we teach that. Thanks, Coach. In our punt return and our kickoff return game. Ball carrier, Cover player, blocker. Look at this. Looks like catch-up punch in face, doesn't it? Catch-up punch in face, climb, rip body. Climb, rip body. Hey, fellas, thanks for having me. And good luck.